Hi, this is Dan and Lexi from Dan Schultz Outdoors, reminding you, keep the adventures alive.
Hey y'all, I'm Johnny.
And I'm Colleen. And we're the Keel Quest. And we want you to keep the adventures alive. Cheers.
Hey, this is Darren from Ride Paddle Repeat, encouraging you to keep the adventures alive.
This is David from Beachley Ironworks, and keep the adventures alive.
Hey, Kevin with an A here. Keep the adventure alive.
Hi, I'm Dan Mayotte. Keep the adventures alive.
Hi, I'm Kevin Cowan, the Happy Camper. Remember, keep the adventures alive. Awesome!
Woo, buddy! Shug here! Keep the adventures alive. I am.
Ethan here, the avid outdoorsy guy, reminding you to keep the adventures alive.
We're John and Aaron.
Keep the adventures alive.
Hey everyone, it's Kylan from Lure of the North, and I encourage you to keep the adventures alive.
This is Sky North telling you, keep the adventures alive. And now on with the show.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. This is Dennis from CANOEHOUND Adventures. Hope everybody's had a great week once again. Welcome back to another edition of CANOEHOUND'S Outdoor Adventure Show, which is a show that brings you a lot closer to the great outdoors by bringing you hot topics and the YouTube personalities that you enjoy and watch. If you're new to the live stream, I welcome you. Thank you very much. If you're a past visitor, thank you very much for joining us once again. We got a great show in store for you tonight. We are live here every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. And if you happen to be watching this as a replay, we have a whole library of CANOEHOUND'S Outdoor Adventure shows, over 53 episodes available for you to watch at any time on YouTube. So if you're looking for something to do and you're channel surfing on YouTube, please do check us out. A lot of great shows, a lot of great episodes, a lot of great guests. As I mentioned, we are live here every Tuesday evening. So if you are watching this as a replay, feel free to join us live one night there, and feel free to join in once we get our chat and our people up asking questions of our guests. Before we get the show going here with our guests, I just want to go over a few things here while the chat over there populates. Last week's show, we had a great topic with Kevin Ride from the YouTube channel Kevin Outdoors and Michaela Ferguson. And the topic of discussion was backcountry camp cooking. We covered a whole bunch of things, everything from food preparation and meal planning, all the way down to dehydrating foods and the whole gamut. It was a really good show. We had a really good turnout in the show. And, you know, if you're into cooking and you happen to miss it, you have the opportunity to go back and watch it as a replay. Just head over to CANOEHOUND Adventures and check out our playlist under CANOEHOUND'S Outdoor Adventure Show Season 2. Congratulations to last week's swag winner, who was Jack Frimith. Jack won a Canoehound Adventures prize pack and a couple of goodies from Algonquin Outfitters, as well as a digital copy of Michaela Ferguson's Backcountry Cookbook. So congratulations to you. Hopefully you get good use out of the cookbook. I know I have so far with mine. Next week, for those of you that will be watching live, or anybody that may be watching after the fact, be sure to tune in, because we have Jason Irwin from Tumble Home, the YouTube channel Tumble Home, will be our guest. I've been speaking back and forth with Jason, and this is sure to be a good show. So be sure to tune in next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's see here. We do have our guests in the basement, and we will get with them in just a brief moment here. I just wanted to send out a huge thanks again to all my channel members, those of you that have joined the channel. The button down here that says join. Feel free to check it out at some point there. It's a great way to support the channel, get a few added perks. I will be in touch with all my members here over the next week or so. I've got a couple little things planned that I want to make sure you all know about and want you all to partake in that. Welcome to Scott Green and Joe Milligan, who are our newest channel supporters. So thank you very much for joining the team here. Your membership goes a long way into helping to offset costs with producing the show, streaming software, equipment, things of that sort. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been working on the set here a little bit. Not the background, but things like lighting. See my cheeks lighting up all nice and rosy here. Things like that there, just to try and bring you a better product. And the one thing that I'm still trying to work out, and I will apologize right now in advance to everybody, that over the last few weeks, many of you have noticed that I've been having some really serious internet issues. We're still working on this. My internet service provider is really dragging their heels on this. And yeah, man, it's been causing a lot of havoc where the quality of my video has been diminishing or freezing up. So if that happens tonight, or I happen to disappear for a brief moment, I will be back. I will pop back on. I've just instructed my guests tonight to make sure that they just keep talking, run with the show, and that's their chance to slam Canoe Hound if they needed to in front of everybody else. So that's all good. Although I'm sure they wouldn't, because these are two classy guys. I'd also like to thank my business supporters, those that help support the business. Good friends over at Backcountry Coffee Company, supplying Canoe Hound with his coffee for the show. Thank you, guys. Or I should say Guy. It's a one-man show, I believe, and Kyle's business, and it's a good one. Algonquin Outfitters, Great Signs and Graphics, and the Short Hills. Wow. And I think I'm back. I'm sorry, everybody. It looked like my channel dropped out. There again, internet problems. Not my on my end, but it's their end, and I'm really trying to get that. I apologize for all that there. Once again, if you have any hot topics or guests that you'd like to see on the show, upcoming episodes, please do drop me an email at canoehound@gmail.com and let me know who you'd like to see, and I will do my best to make it happen. Tonight's guests are somebody that was really sought after many times, and many people have mentioned them, and we finally made it happen. That's good things. And of course, if you have any questions for tonight, do drop them in the chat over there. The only thing I ask is that you put the word question in capital letters so that I know your question is up there. And I will do my darndest to get it up here on screen. As you know, one-man show, sometimes they do get by me. But you'll also have the opportunity after our swag giveaway tonight, which is about 8 o'clock. Stick around. We got some great things. But after the swag giveaway, I'll invite some of you up on panel to ask any questions. Enough of my babbling. We got over 100 people in the house tonight. Thanks all. Let's get into the show. Tonight our guests are from a popular YouTube channel called Northern Scavenger. These two young fellas are no rookies when it comes to big adventures, whether it's a 35-day trip across Labrador, doing the meanest link in Algonquin Park in only 10 days, or an epic 14-day adventure in wild Wabakimi. These two have a go big or go home attitude, and when it comes to their trips. Please welcome to the show, we've got Noah Booth and Alex Traynor. How you doing, fellas?
What's up?
Doing great.
At long last, we got you on the show.
Yeah. Happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Hey, man, anytime. And I say that to all my guests. Everybody's welcome anytime. So I'm going to start here, and I always start the show this way. I want to know a little bit more about you guys. We're talking in the green room, and I understand you guys have been like lifelong buddies.
Yeah, we've been friends since we were like 4 years old.
4 years old.
That's where it all started, in the suburbs of Etobicoke.
Cool. And now you guys are like many miles apart, right? Because Noah, you live out east, right?
Yeah, I'm in Nova Scotia.
And Alex, you're still in the Etobicoke area, Toronto area?
Yeah, I am still in Etobicoke.
Cool. How do you guys make a YouTube channel work when you guys are so far apart? I know you guys have posted a lot of videos, like individual videos. I guess that's the way you have to make it work now, right?
You know, it's like any long distance relationship. You need to have communication. You need to be honest with each other, and we made it work so far, and there hasn't been any issues.
Cool.
Yeah, and also the channel was kind of like already in place. It was kind of, I think it would have been difficult building a channel. It was kind of, again, like that whole channel creation was kind of built really organically because we just loved doing it. And we were already doing it anyways. And I think that that since it was already gaining some traction and there's some people interested, I think that really helped in terms of us sticking to it and keeping it going.
That's cool. So who primarily takes care of the channel? Like, well, you both have access to it, obviously, right? But how do you guys come up with ideas for content on this whole channel?
Yeah, I would say our main form of content is through YouTube, and we try to stick to a schedule of getting a video out every 2 weeks.
Each.
Yeah.
Each, so you guys could offset weeks, type of thing, right?
Yeah, but it's really hard to do when you have a full-time job as well. As the guys, I see John on the comments there. I'm sure he knows as well. It takes a while to edit a video. It's no easy task. So,
and you guys have a pretty cool style of editing videos. Do you guys each edit your own video, or does it go back and forth?
Yeah, so we both edit our own videos. It would just be, I don't know, it'd be so challenging to have someone like, I don't know, one person editing it and transferring footage and stuff. But we also both really enjoy it. Like both of us like the editing process. So yeah, we both edit.
Cool. Okay, so let's get back into the friendship. Now, Alex, you had sent me a bunch of pictures, and I did manage to upload them here. So I'm gonna pull them up here. Because you guys have been buddies for so long, one that you mentioned here. Well, I got 5 of them up here. I don't know how many you sent me originally, but you mentioned one here. There's the boys out doing a little bit of paddle boating.
Yeah.
Was that at Sandbanks?
I think so.
That's what the title says underneath, Sandbanks. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's my mom.
And let's see here.
Oh, that's nice. That's also at Sandbanks for sure.
Okay, sorry, man. There goes my freaking internet again. Damn it.
Going on the sand dunes.
Yeah, guys. That's
okay, there's the sand dunes.
No, what was that?
I was just saying that's a picture of us walking up a sand dune.
Yeah. And then this is in Kilbear, it says.
Nice.
Is this one of your early day canoe trips?
Yeah, so that is not the infamous Coleman that we've used in our trips. I don't know what canoe that is.
Yeah.
But are you trolling here or what?
What's that? Noah or Alex?
I was asking Noah if he was trolling here. It looks like there's a line in the water, but maybe we forgot to pull the anchor up or something.
Yeah.
Talking about your rookie mistake, huh?
So one of the things we've always done is when we're canoeing, it's a must to have a rod in the water while we're traveling for trolling. Yep. And we call each other out. If the line's not wet, we call each other out about it.
Okay. Yeah, you had a line in the water as much as you could when in the Labrador trip. I noticed that. Okay.
That was a particularly tough trip to keep a line in the water just because of how much distance we were trying to cover.
I bet. So who we got here? We got 3 people in this one.
Yeah, this so Noah's on the left, I'm on the right, and another one of our good buddies from again, childhood friend, elementary school, high school, Graham, who came on some of our first trips with us.
Cool. And then last but not least, a little bit of fishing here.
Yep.
We were hammering sunfish that day.
Hammering sunfish. Hey, you got to train and start somewhere, right? Those little buggers can be hard to catch sometimes. You know, they got such tiny mouths and they don't always grab that hook. Wow, that's cool, man. So when did you guys first start? Obviously, it started early, but do you remember your first canoe trip? What was your first canoe trip you guys partook in?
First canoe.
Are you talking first backcountry trip or first?
Well, let's get both then. If whether it's like a family outing type of thing or your first backcountry trip.
Can I take this?
Sure, go for
it. So I grew up car camping with my mom, like going to like Algonquin, Sandbanks, like all these places. And Noah and his mom were doing like canoe trips with Lou, right? Noah's mom's boyfriend at the time. And so I went, our first backcountry trip was a trip to McCrae Lake with Lou and your mom.
Yeah, so that would have been, 20 years ago. I'm not sure how many people here know McCrae Lake. Now it's a well-known spot. And if you will go there now, it is absolutely packed. But growing up, you could paddle the lake and not see a single soul.
Yeah.
And it's about an hour and a half north of Toronto. It's a little gem. But now it's like, you can't go there without hearing techno beats.
Yeah, there's always techno beats.
That makes so many people gets people right off their rocker. You get in the backcountry and you're listening to music and stuff like that. Not a fun thing for sure.
No.
Yeah. So that was actually your first backcountry trip was up to McCrae Lake?
That was our go-to. We'd go multiple times a year for 20 years.
Okay.
Really.
And then in terms of like our first actual trip where we planned it ourselves and everything was the French River. We did the 18-mile island loop. And that was also with Graham, who was in that photo. And we did the 3-man canoe.
Okay.
In the Coleman.
In the Coleman.
In the Coleman. Okay, yeah, we're gonna get to the Coleman in a while there because I know that has a pretty big story as to one of your trips and some help that you received from a very popular person that's actually in the chat tonight. So we'll get into that a little later on.
Our uncle's here.
Pardon me?
Our uncle's here.
Oh, piss them right off, man. You're pissing right. But we want to get to that story for sure. Let's see here. So you guys have a flair for the big trips, these big adventures. How do these big adventures come about? Like let's talk a bit about Royal de Verlands, right? Where did the concept come with this trip, and what type of work went into actually preparing for this trip? Either one of you could take that because you guys know the work that went into it.
I'm gonna let Noah take this one.
Okay.
So
was this his brainchild or what?
Yeah, was not mine.
Yeah, so I have a very stubborn personality, and if I get stuck on something, I just I can't not follow it through. And I got obsessed with the idea of doing a huge canoe trip. And I brought it up to Alex when we were on the Minas Link. And we're just paddling as we did for that trip for 14 hours a day. And I just brought up, hey, Alex, what are your thoughts on doing a 5-week trip through Labrador next summer? And I think you just laughed at me.
It was like, yeah, that'd be cool. But like, it seems so far-fetched. Like, it just seems so out there.
And then it was dropped. We just didn't talk about it for a while. And then 2 months later, I sent him an email I got from my boss saying that I got 5 weeks off, and I asked him, are we doing it? Wow. So I kind of,
I was sweating after that.
It was sink or swim after that for sure.
So planning that trip took you basically from about the time that Alex agreed all the way up till the date that you guys flew in, type of deal.
No, well, I guess I'm personally always looking at maps. Like I love doing it. I have a map of Canada here behind me. I have a bunch of maps, and I'm just like always looking at routes that we could do in the future and just different areas. And Labrador, I'm a geologist too, and I do a lot of work up in Goose Bay. So I've been going up there since 2014, and the entire area just blows me away every time I go up there. Because you fly in on like a little plane, and all you can see is just endless forest and rivers, and I romanticized it about it for years, and and then I started reading books, Nina Hubbard, Leonidas Hubbard, those trips they did, and there's another trip, I think it's called True North, about a guy who went up there and lived with the trappers for a winter.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good books about the area, and it just intrigued me. So I got really into the idea of doing a trip up there, and I forcefully convinced Alex to come along.
Yeah. The logistics of planning a trip like that must be like overwhelming, like not only are you having to map your route, but meal planning, equipment planning, just the logistics of getting there, back, type of thing. How did you go about planning the route? Like how do you take a map and say, I want to get from point A to point B? Is that kind of what you did, or?
Yeah, well, there's only so many places you can go in Labrador. There's not too many villages or communities up there, so you don't really have many options, and you can't really do a loop trip. So if you know where you want to start and where you want to end, the fun is creating the path, but the start and the end, that's already made up for you. But yeah, but it's part of the fun though too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because watching that whole series, how many parts was that series? That was like 10 parts or something, wasn't it? 13 episodes. And it seemed like in every single one, you guys had like a monster portage. Like you probably carried your canoe almost as much as you paddled it in some instances, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Craziness.
It felt that way on the trip too.
Yeah. So how long was the trip? 35 days?
35 days.
35 days, and you covered what type of distance?
For 35 days, not a lot of distance. Really.
670 kilometers.
670K. That's you know what, that's pretty massive, especially out in the middle of nowhere, essentially, right? Did you see anybody while you were out there at all? Like aside from the four of you?
Well, we saw a guy in a helicopter.
But that was pretty much it. That was it.
That was it, really.
When we got to the coast, we saw some people passing by in boats, but that was like maybe the last 2 days we saw like one or two boats going by.
Uh-huh. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, this is the kind of a trip that most people would have in their bucket list for like their entire lives and never actually accomplish, right? And you guys actually accomplish it. Now you're both young. What are you, late 20s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
30-ish.
30-ish. There you go, ladies. 30-ish. There you go.
I'm not saying it yet.
Okay. That's cool. So now the whole logistics of planning this thing. Now, do you guys carry your food, like all your food for the entire trip, or do you have any drops done?
Yeah, so the other thing is, like most canoeists, we're relatively poor. So getting a food drop up there wouldn't have been cheap.
Right.
So we definitely wanted to carry it all with us.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what was your biggest portage that you had to lug all that stuff across? Was that one going from the one watershed to the other?
Yeah, like 10K.
10K 3 days.
10K 3 days. Who in the chat wants to do a 10K 3-day portage? We'll see how many number ones we get in the.
I think Byrne does there.
Wow. I could see somebody like Jim Baird taking on something like that, but wow, man, you guys are very enthusiastic when it comes to that. Now, talking about food, we should have had you on last week, Noah, because I know you have a breakfast item that is your staple throughout the trip, and you have a whole video on it. In fact, on your channel, you had like a mountain of what do you call it?
I don't even know if it's worth talking about.
No, well, Actually, Dennis, I eat that on a daily basis in real life as well.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Bushwhackers oats is what they're called.
Right.
And it's not a proper bushwhackers oats unless you can stick your spoon in and it just sticks straight up. And what's great about this is if you have a cut or you have a gash in your canoe, you could also just patch your canoe with it. It's like cement.
Just got to let it dry, right, in the sun.
Oh, it's multi-purpose for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not seeing an awful lot of number ones in the chat over there. We got a 0.5. We have a 1-ish. Oh,
Nice.
no.
Dennis, also on that portage, Jim Baird actually did a trip similar, like up in that same area. Just it wasn't at the same crossing there, Noah?
Yeah, so I reached out to Jim before our trip to get some information from him. Yeah, and so part of that trip, going up the DePaul and doing that Party Creek crossover and then up the George was the same trip that him and his brother Ted and two friends did in 2009. And they went down, what river was that? Maybe someone in the comments can remind me.
If anybody knows.
No, it means where the Innu are in Innu. Adirondack? I don't know. It's one of those rivers up there. But no. It was a river that was, I think, 102 kilometers south of the Kogaluk. But yeah, so another thing with doing a trip in Labrador is there's not much information available online. So we only had a few resources available. One of them was Jim. And another big one was Herb Pohl in his book, Paddle to Faraway Places. We used part of his route that he did. He went down the Mistaston 20 years ago, and that was the only information that we could find on the Mistaston River was that book.
Wow. And lots could change in 20 years, like. Yeah. That's crazy. So Wilderman Northern Adventures asking, how many trips across the 10K portage did you leapfrog it, or did you back and forth, or?
Yeah, so we definitely leapfrogged it, and we also, like, because it was over 3 days, we actually like camped 2 or 3 nights along that path. There was a little bit of paddling in between, but it's like not even really worth talking about because it'd be like a pond filled with boulders that you might as well have just walked around anyways. But yeah, it was basically stitching together, following along a creek.
Did you have at any time like doubt in your mind that you were actually headed the right direction, or you had GPS with you as well, correct?
Yeah, I think the most anxiety came from losing gear in the brush because we're leapfrogging the entire time. I mean, we have so much gear just scattered, and there's 4 of us, and we're just tired and irritated from all the bugs. It would have been so easy just to lose a paddle or drop a paddle in the alders or the lap tee and gone forever.
Right.
So,
did you lose much?
What's that?
Did you actually lose much?
No, we didn't lose anything.
Really?
Well, other than Dave lost my fishing rod.
Okay. Yeah. Now, who were these 2 other fellows that were with you? How did they come into the mix for this trip? How did they become part of the trip?
So I met Dave when I moved to Nova Scotia, and Dave has the most experience out of the 4 of us by far. He's done, I don't know, like 8 to 10, 30+ day trips. And yeah, so I met him when he was going on a 50-day trip to the Northwest Territories that summer. And when he came back, I also pitched this idea to him, and he was also keen on going to Labrador. And that 50-day trip that he did to the Northwest Territories he did it with Chris. So then he brought Chris in, and then that's how the 4 of us knew each other.
Mm-hmm. Any plans in the future for another expedition with these guys? They both went silent. Next topic.
Yeah, we're currently in the process of planning a big trip for this summer, actually. And no spoilers just yet.
Okay, so like I said, on to another topic. So this whole Labrador trip, and I promise we're going to talk about more than just the Labrador trip because you guys got a lot of adventures under your belt. But highlights. Well, Alex, yourself, what was a couple of the biggest highlights of the trip that you encountered? And we'll get into some lowlights too pretty soon here.
This is for the Labrador trip?
Yes.
Highlights for me were, I'll maybe tie in a low light here. So like I knew this trip was going to be challenging. And I mean, I've always been interested in a challenge for our trips. Like, I feel like we've always been kind of pushing ourselves every trip that we've done, and it feels good to accomplish something new. So I knew going into this trip, it was going to be a tough trip. And as much as you prepare yourself for that, I don't think you realize like how tough it is until you're there. And so, I think that over the first like 20 days or so, or 22, 23 days, like we had just been absolutely pounded with rain and bugs and cold temperatures. And like, I remember getting to this point, and we also wrapped the canoe within that time frame. And I just remember like when we arrived at Mistaston Lake, like just before then, I think it was actually when we were walking up to Mistaston Lake, like it was just before then. And I'm walking up to the lake and I am trying to film and my lens is fogging up all the time because it was just so damp out. And I just like had this overwhelming, and I was exhausted. I just had this overwhelming frustration of like, what the heck are we doing out here? Like, we've just been like trekking along this whole time. Like we hadn't like really seen any of the spectacular things yet. And I just remember that like just feeling so defeated. And then we hit Mistaston Lake and like we got a day of sunshine. Mistaston Lake was that impact crater site that we arrived at. And like, I feel like from that point to like the end of the trip, it was like we had put in all this hard work to get there and we got all the rewards in like the final third of the trip. But to like get there was defeating.
Yeah. Well, I remember that bugs and everything else were just horrendous. The nonstop rain. Yeah.
I don't want to like take away too much here before like Noah has a chance to talk. So like, but I don't know if Noah, you want to chime in on that at all? Like,
no, it was weird that as soon as we got to Mistaston, the sun came out after 2 weeks of rain. But I think our entire team, when we got to Mistaston Lake, that was the change. That was the Mistaston River was the crux of the entire trip. And then once we got through that and got to the lake, it was very emotional, Dennis.
Yeah, well, you know what? There were a few points in some of these videos where, and especially Alex, you really seemed to open up your heart, and it's almost like watching a Hollywood movie there. And I know it wasn't scripted, right? But it almost sounded like like something you'd see in a movie. There, you just opened up and you could see the emotion in your face and everything. And I remember watching it a couple times, just saying, "Holy shit, man!" Like the one where I think was when Noah was sick.
Yeah.
When you had your stomach ailment there, and obviously for obvious reasons, there the concern that you showed in your face with what was going on and stuff like that. It really made the video that much more worth watching, if that makes sense, without sounding the wrong way. You know what I mean? Because I really thoroughly enjoyed the whole series. But yeah, man, it was pretty cool to see you open up. And that's the reality of the whole thing too, right? Is you're out there, you're experiencing it, and you got to let your emotions play the part as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely say I blacked out for that moment. Like I have like very little recollection of opening up that much. And until like Noah shared with me that scene, and I was like, oh boy. And then once we put that out, we got a lot of really nice comments on that, and I got to relive it as well because I was surprised. I think I surprised myself on that one.
Yeah, well, I was going through the footage and I saw that, and the first thing I did was text Alex and say, Alex, this is the most emotion I've ever seen you on film, because because usually it's tough when you're filming yourself to say things more than what you're doing, right? Because the last thing you want to do is bust out your camera and you're like, okay, well, it's sunny, it's raining, we're doing this. And sometimes it's hard to tap into that emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex hammered home with that. And yes, it was awesome. It made me teary watching it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. Like I say, the violin should have been going in the background, right? It's like Hollywood, well, not Hollywood because it wasn't acting.
I heard the violin from the tent, though.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Eh? So tell us a bit about that too, Noah. Like you were sick, man. You were down for a few days.
Yeah, I was shitting constantly. Excuse my French.
No.
But it was like it was to the point where after looking back and talking to people, there's serious health concerns if I didn't get better. But at the time, all I could think about was how much my stomach hurt and just focusing on that. I didn't know the repercussions of not getting better. I just kind of focused on the fact that it hurt.
Yeah.
But it was weird. In a situation like that, you don't really have a choice but to deal with it. So you have to deal with it. And then you learn that you can do more stuff to your body than you expect you can. But on that same note, I'm still dealing with some consequences from that.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I sterilized my gut from that.
No shit. So, what do you know what it was? Was it like a form of beaver fever or something, or
something like that?
Wouldn't have anything to do with the bush oats, would it?
No, definitely not the bush oats.
Okay.
If anything, I should have eaten more bush oats.
Yeah, that only settles the stomach.
So, rookie mistake, we stopped filtering the water. We thought we're in a remote area. It's fresh water. We don't need to filter it. And that was right around the same time I started getting sick. So I probably ate some poo water.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's crazy. And so you were down for what? Quite literally 3 days type of thing, right?
I was sick for 7 days, but I was immobile for 2 days.
Yeah. That's crazy. Now, how did that play into the travel with the trip? Because you guys obviously you're both working and you probably allotted so much time for your trip. Did you take into account how many days you had, say, as layover days or rest days? Did that sort of suck up them days on you?
Yeah, we still had to travel. Other than that, we took 1 day off, but we still had to do 20 kilometers a day.
Yeah.
I think we had a couple slower days. Like I think maybe we took the 1 day off, and I think the next day we only did like 12 or something. Like it was a little bit slower. Like we were trying to give, like Noah would jump in the boat, and I still remember this because I just remember him being in the bow and I was in the stern, and we were just paddling, and he'd do like 10 very like lily dipping paddle strokes, and then his head would just drop, and he'd just sit like that for a couple minutes, and then his head would be back up again, and he'd do like 10 more and then just drop again. And it was just like on and off. So we were just trying to keep moving. And if we could keep him in the boat, that was good. But we had to pull over multiple times for bathroom stops. And it was just like slow moving. The weather still was not great. So
was there any time that you guys thought, hey man, like let's use the InReach or the spot device, whichever you were carrying?
Well, everything compounded when Dave then broke his tooth, right?
That's right. Yeah.
It was me and Dave who both of us could have, our condition could have got a lot worse. So we had a discussion and we said, listen, guys, when we get to Mistaston, one of us, if Dave has a bad infection, if Noah still can't drink or eat, we seriously need to consider the potential thought of an evacuation.
Uh-huh.
And Mistaston Lake was our next opportunity to really do that. Like we were just entering the mouth of the Mistaston River, and there was no real place for a pickup to happen. So Mistaston Lake was really our next spot, and that's where that conversation happened.
Yeah, I remember that day, one of the days we were traveling, I was wearing 4 pairs of pants and 7 shirts, and I was still shivering.
Yeah,
it was crazy. Like looking back, it was crazy, but at the time, you don't think about much other than just going because that's all you can. It's your only option.
Yep. Wow, man. Well, glad you're okay, but sorry that you got the ramifications of that still going on. That's hopefully that all recovers as well. You had other issues on the trip too, Alex. You mentioned earlier too, pinning your canoe. How long of an endeavor was that there? Because that thing was pinned.
Yeah. Again, was definitely lucky. Noah and I were just talking about this the other day. Like, lucky that I had the GoPro on for that. Like, we were just filming the set of rapids that we were going down, and that all happened very quickly. And yeah, so in terms of like how long it was pinned and everything, it wasn't really like terribly long. Like, I'd say the whole like, and maybe I'm wrong with this, Noah. Maybe you want to chime in on the time, but like I feel like from the time that it was pinned to like the time that we had the boat out and we were like collecting the balance of our gear and stuff, like I'd say like probably 15 minutes ish.
Yeah.
But we were soaked. So like we were wearing our dry pants and like our rain jackets and stuff, but like we basically, as soon as we had to hop into the river, we were soaked trying to like get that canoe out. And so we pulled over and just complete shock. I just remember the feeling that I had when that happened. It was Chris and I in the boat, and it just happened so fast, and was eye-opening for myself. I had never wrapped a canoe before, and so I just like had this overwhelming feeling of like, here we are, we're on our big expedition, and like, did I just like, or did we just like ruin this whole experience? Like, is this going to end the trip basically? And yeah, I remember watching Noah's valuable fly rod float out of the boat and all of our food, and it's just like that feeling is just like so like I can't even explain it. It's like overwhelming.
Now you were fortunate too, because it didn't get you out of the trip, and you were able to recover and kind of repair the canoe as well. Obviously got everything back, because Noah said you guys didn't really lose anything on the trip.
Yeah, Noah's smiling here because he's got a great story about the collection of our stuff at the bottom of that.
Oh, let's hear it. I feel
like I've said this story a few times, but Dave and I were already at the bottom, and we were the ones collecting all the gear, and we had to collect it before it went down the next set of rapids. And I remember seeing my fly rod and a bare barrel full of food start floating down the opposite sides of the river. And I had one of those moments where I was looking back and forth, and I started paddling to my fly rod. But I switched direction, and we got the food and the fly rod. So
you recovered everything. Wow, yeah. That's crazy. So what caused you to get pinned, though, Alex? Did you like hit a rock, or did you just miss your line, or was it just that you didn't scope the trip or the rapid?
So we hadn't scouted this set, but like we also, like Noah and Dave made it down, and they were the first canoe, right? So I think personally, looking back on that, we were going too quick rather than kind of back paddling our way down and just really taking our time and being in control. And yeah, we had to make like a pretty sharp left-hand turn, which in a boulder garden like we were in, like you'd never want to do with any amount of speed. And so, yeah, so I'd definitely probably put a lot of the blame on our speed in that scenario. But yeah, I mean, lessons learned, right? Like that was the first time I'd ever wrapped a canoe. So I think I'd maybe do things a little differently next time. But yeah, and so the rock that we were like actually trying to avoid, if you look back at the footage, it's not super easy to see, but there's like a big boulder that was the one that we were like, we know we have to get left of that. But there was actually just like the small one that we didn't see, or I didn't see, Chris didn't see. And as we opened up and exposed the side of the canoe, we got perfectly locked on that rock, and instantly like couldn't have hit more square in the middle of our boat, and we were pinned up against it. And I don't know, I've relived this a million times trying to think of like once we were pinned, was there anything else I could have done? And like I try not to think about it, because it's like again, unless I was back in that situation again, I really don't think I could evaluate it properly. But it was pinned pretty good, and it all happened pretty fast.
It's and pardon the pun, it's a sinking feeling when you see that water starting to come over the center of the gunnels, and
totally, yeah,
it starts filling it. It's like, oh shit, what am I gonna do now?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, you know what? At least you guys were able to recover, and you didn't lose anything. The only thing hurt was your pride, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Cool. Let's get to a couple questions. We have a few questions coming in here. I had 3 in a row, and geez, did I just lose them? Where are they here? I got to go back. Here we go. Okay. So Willie War Will is asking, how'd you get around the rules about having a Labrador guide for fishing? Didn't know.
Yes. So Labrador has some very convoluted rules and regs when it comes to their fishing. Mm-hmm. So on our trip, we were in Labrador proper, Quebec, and then Nunatsiavut, right? So then in Labrador, we needed a guide to fish. So I got my guiding license. So I was the guide, and then I was the guide for Alex and Dave, because you can have 2 guests, and then technically I can fish, or if I can catch a fish by showing them the act of fishing, but I have to put it back. And then when you're in Quebec, it's different regs, and then when you're in Nunatsiavut, it's different regulations. So that was the hardest part about planning this trip, was figuring out the friggin' regulations around fishing.
All these logistics, right? That's why I say is there's so much planning that goes into that. Like, I'm surprised you planned that like within a year type of thing, or less.
Yeah.
You know, all the mapping, like the food, and I had no idea even that those regulations existed. So great question, Will. Thanks much. Retired outside here is going to ask, what are 3 things the Northern Scavengers look for in a trip when you're trying to find somewhere new to go? Who wants to take that one?
I'm happy to take it. Noah, maybe you want to chime in if I'm not answering this right, but I would say like how remote it is, and the less it's been traveled, the more attractive it would be. The challenge is the fishing's definitely on there. Yeah, I don't know. What else? Would you add anything else?
Sorry, I missed the question there.
It is. What are 3 things the Northern Scavengers look for in a trip when you're trying to find somewhere new to go?
Yeah, I think that new areas are interesting. I think so. I was thinking about this earlier, thinking about potential topics, and originally it started as getting to a destination of a good fishing spot, and then as we got older, it became more about the journey and about the adventure of instead of the end spot. And Alex hit it on the head there. It's the adventure happens in the unknown or uncertainty of the route for myself, and I think Alex as well. And figuring out a route that has a fair amount of challenges and unknowns adds to that whole excitement of not knowing what to expect. To a point where sometimes this might be a controversial thing to say, but before doing a trip, I don't like looking for information on the route beforehand, because I don't want to know if there's a cool waterfall on a lake. I rather come around a corner and be blown away that there's a waterfall there, and not having any expectations at all, because expectations, like in everything in life, can ruin an experience.
Mm-hmm. It's the same kind of thing with like going back to the same place twice. Like you might have had like an awesome experience last time, and you've got these like preset expectations in place that could or could not be the same. I'm not really like terribly against doing a trip twice. It's more just like a personal thing. Like I like going somewhere new always, because there's just so many places to see.
Yeah, that's the thing. Hey, there's so much variety out there that why take on the same thing unless you got something you want to go back there and do specifically, right? So
yeah.
Another quick question here.
Mind you, that Labrador trip would have been way different if you took out the last 10 days. Like if we just ended at Mistaston Lake on like that first shore that we got to, it might have been like a bit of a different trip.
Yeah, makes sense. Would you have done the trip without Dave and Chris?
Yeah, well, I guess this is a this is a double question. So doing a big trip like this, one of the thoughts that we had was for the best amount of people or 4 people, so 2 boats, and that's the best for from a safety perspective if one of us were to wrap a boat and it got destroyed, and then also from a speed perspective. With 4 people, you can still be in the relatively same mindset and have the same agenda. When you get to 6, there's more personalities to incorporate in different schedules, and with 2, there is a component of risk involved. Mm-hmm. So I think we're in agreement that 4 people were great for this trip. And then you never really want to gamble with people that you don't know on a long trip, because you're no more than 10 feet away from them for the entire trip, and you really need to know them well enough before you commit to something like that.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, I'd even think in some instances maybe 3 boats would be a good thing too. I know I've seen Derek Specials in the chat tonight there. They went over falls, they lost a canoe, all kinds of gear, and they ended up having to walk out. But had they had a 3rd canoe in the mix, like they could have done like you and your buddy did.
We're losing them. 1
canoe, you're kind of screwed. Sorry if I froze up. Did I freeze up again?
Yeah, but I think we got the gist of it.
Yeah, so but yeah, so that makes sense. So safety in numbers is what it comes down to, especially on an expedition like that. You're out in the middle of nowhere. You lose 1 canoe, then you're stuck with none if there's only 2 of you, right? So, yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. So another one here we got from Donald Dakota. Let's pop it up here. With the lack of taller trees, how did you cache your food packs at night to keep the critters out?
Most of our food was in I guess we had 2 bear barrels and 2 they were 60-liter bags, right? Dry bags?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. We weren't too concerned about it in terms of like critters or anything like that, and we just kind of I wouldn't even say that we walked them that far away from our site, because I think in most circumstances, aside from the risk of polar bears on the coast, like we would be wanting to like if we heard like a bear or something like chiming in on our food, we'd want to jump out and scare them away, because we don't want them to take our food. So like if we put the stuff too far away and we don't hear it or whatever, then it's there's a chance that they get away with your food or like spoil a whole bunch of food, in which case like each one of our food packs had 9 days worth of food for 4 guys in it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And you guys you rely a lot on fish too. I know you guys ate a lot of fish while you're out there too. Good thing you had a guide with you, eh, Alex?
Yeah. Otherwise, I don't know what I would have done.
Now, you guys both experienced some PBs out there too, right?
So many PBs.
Yeah. What were your PBs on this trip? Personal best, if anybody's wondering.
Noah, do you want to go for this?
There's so many. So I accidentally caught a huge salmon on the George River, and then the biggest thing was we kept getting a new PB, brook trout, throughout the trip. It just kept recycling. And there's a point, I'm not sure if you've gone through the episode when we're on the Kogaluk and we're fly fishing. There's a point where Alex in 2 minutes loses like 4 18 to 20 inch brook trout, like all different ones, and just consistently, like they're like schooling like sunfish and sandbanks, but they're like 20 inch brook trout.
It's a good explanation. That was also like just to bring back in the different personalities on a trip. Like that was an example right there where Chris and Dave like kind of liked getting to the campsite a little earlier. When Noah and I came across that honey hole, and all of a sudden we realized that there was brook trout rising on the mouse pattern on our fly rods, it was kind of like we were hyper focused on that as an achievement for us. And I think the guys could like tell that like we weren't going to let up on that. And it was kind of the nice thing about being on a river is they went ahead and found a campsite, and Noah and I literally sat at this one bank and probably fished for like an hour and a half straight just at that one bank. And we did this like multiple times on the way down, just fishing, like hammering these brook trout. It was just like such a special moment.
Right.
And then we had to make up the distance after, and we realized how much more distance the guys actually crushed before finding a campsite. Noah and I are like paddling in there late. The guys had like eaten already.
Oh, really? So isn't every hole up there like a honey hole? Right? Like it's so remote up there. Nobody's up there fishing it.
Yeah. Well, I guess the big thing that we were obsessed with in the last year is fly fishing. And we're both not accomplished fly fishermen, but when it comes to fly fishing, you need the proper wind, the proper back cast, and the proper current. And it just happened that this place was perfect for all those to happen. So it was. And in other times when the weather was bad, you couldn't catch a fish whenever you wanted. There were days where we couldn't catch a fish. Surprisingly.
Yeah, just due to weather or pressure, barometric pressure, and all that stuff, right?
Definitely.
That's crazy, man. You guys. At least I got to see it all through a camera's lens, right? How was it with right around the same time that you guys come out with this whole series? I know Jim Baird had something come out. Our good friend out in Newfoundland,
Barber.
There you go. Dang, light bulb overhead. Yeah. Justin come out with his there. All of a sudden there was this big influx of people wanting to do trips in Labrador. Is it just something that happened that way, do you think? Or is it just coincidental? Like, you know.
I don't know. It's like if you start thinking about the number 47, it starts popping up everywhere.
Right.
I think if it's on the back burner, you subconsciously see it around.
Yeah. Yeah, because right now, and we'll get into it probably just after after we do our swag giveaway tonight. Is we'll talk about the meanest link. I know that's getting to be a very popular thing right now. The more people talk about it, the more people that do it, the more people want to do it, right? And you guys did it in pretty breakneck time, and we'll get into reasons why you did it so quickly after the swag giveaway, but. Maybe one or two more quick questions here from the chat, and then we will do our swag giveaway, and then we'll move on and we'll invite some people up onto the screen here, hopefully, and ask you some questions. Avid Outdoorsy guy, Ethan's asking, did your contact in Labrador throw any last-minute info at you before launch that caused any major route or gear changes?
No, but they did cook us like a really nice dinner before we left.
Is that right? Which was?
Tacos, right, Noah?
Yeah, we actually that family was really nice to us. Throughout the trip we named a river after them.
Oh, really?
Not formally though. The process is ridiculous to actually name a river, but off the record it's named after them.
Cool.
But cool. We were all sitting around in like our like bug nets and stuff, and we were in like a really nice dining room, sitting around the table having like a family dinner the night before we headed out. It was just kind of a funny scene.
Jeez. Let's see here. Steve on Ahu is asking, have you ever considered tripping in South America or another continent? Yeah.
I wouldn't say we've ruled it out. We just I don't know. There's so much to explore in our own country right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's stressful knowing how much stuff can be paddled in Canada that we'll never get to paddle. So, but yeah, no, I would paddle anywhere.
I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah. Even aside from Ontario, right? Yeah, all of Canada. There's so many natural resources out there available to us as paddlers that. There's really no need to travel outside of the country, but you know what? There are opportunities outside as well. So that's cool. Okay, so we're closing in on 8 o'clock, and rather than getting into the topic of the meanest link, I'm just going to get right into our swag giveaway. We've got 147 people in the house, so hopefully everybody will have the answer for this. If you haven't been paying attention, if you go back earlier in the video, or if you watch Alex and Noah's series on the Labrador trip, you'll find the answer there, okay? But you'll find it earlier on because we did mention this. So please do not put your answers in the chat on the left-hand side. I'm going to put the question up, and you could email your answers over to me at coasprize@gmail.com. And the question for tonight's swag giveaway, and I'll tell you what the stuff is after I've asked the question. How many days was Alex and Noah's crossing Labrador canoe journey, and how many kilometers were traveled? So we've mentioned it a couple times. I'll leave that question up there for a bit. And tonight's prize giveaway, we're going to be doing 2 prize giveaways. First thing is going to be well, actually both prizes are going to be Canoe Hound swag package with a couple of patches and some decals, a couple of items from Algonquin Outfitters, a certificate, and a couple of decals. And then Alex has, for one of the winners, is going to be giving, and I'm going to pop it up. Well, there you go. It's right on screen there. I'll put that up. So he's going to give a hat and a bushwhacker. No, what do you call them?
Yeah, you got it right. And a Northern Scavenger bushwhacker.
Northern Scavenger bushwhacker. So that'll be for the first person that gets selected. And then the second person will also receive not the hat, but just the bushwhacker.
Another bushwhacker.
There you go. So first place is going to get the Canoe Hound Adventures stuff, the Algonquin Outfitters stuff, a hat, and a bushwhacker. And second prize is going to get Algonquin, Canoe Hound, and a bushwhacker. So send your question or your answers over to COAS Prize. You have until Saturday at 11 o'clock, and we will do the drawing at that time, and the winners will be notified, and they'll be posted on the show next week. So, all good. I think I got everything covered. Okay, I'll get you back down here to, there we go.
That was a lot of me there for a second.
Pardon me?
That was a little too much of me there for a second.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, we had to show off the Northern Scavenger swag, which is available. Where can people get your swag from?
On our website, northernscavenger.com/shop.
There you go. So support these guys. They're bringing us great content, and it costs lots of money. And I'm sure the measly pennies that you're making from a couple of hat sales and stuff can really help out, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to leave the email address going across the bottom. So we need to know how long your trip was and how many kilometers, how many days and how many kilometers. Send that answer over to us. The meanest link. Okay, you guys crushed this thing in like 10 days. What's the reason for doing the meanest link in 10 days rather than taking like a 2-week or 15, 16 days to enjoy it? Was it a challenge?
That's a classic vacation constraint right there.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a week. We had a week of time available when we were trying to figure out what we can do in a week. And there's definitely a lot better things to do in a week than try to paddle 420 kilometers. But what initiated that was doing a fundraiser for Project Canoe.
Okay, and you know what? I was going to ask about that too. Is there an affiliation there? Because I know, Alex, you did the canoe flip challenge in a rather unique way on your unicycle. One of the more unique challenges that were out there. Is there like an affiliation? Is there a reason why you've done so many things for Project Canoe? Have you ever been involved with them before?
The Meanest Link was really the first time that we had been involved with them. It was just an organization that I had been familiar with, and learning more about the stuff that they were doing, the programs that they were offering to get youth out into the backcountry. I just thought was like Noah and I resonated with me, I guess, and I just look at what the backcountry has done for Noah and I just think it's so important to get as many people out there as possible. And so, learning that they were taking people out there that, might not have otherwise had the opportunity to do so, really struck a chord with us. And since we were already planning on torturing our bodies to try to complete this in 10 days, we thought it'd be an awesome opportunity to maybe rally some people around a bigger cause. And so that was really what got us under the idea of doing that.
And you guys raised somewhere around $3,000 for Project Canoe?
Yeah, I think just over.
Where did that come from? Just people sponsoring you for doing a trip type of deal?
You guys, really?
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, it was. We were overwhelmed with the support. It was amazing.
Yeah. No, you know what? Project Canoe is something that ever since we had them on the show here, and I finally got an understanding for what they do. It's a worthwhile cause, and it's something that can really use our support. And you know what? It gets those youth that don't otherwise get the opportunity to do or experience what you guys or us as adventurers do, to experience that, and it makes a big difference. So any help that they can get, even whether it's through the Canoe Flip Challenge or any other means of support, by all means, help out where you can, people. It's a great cause. Can I pipe in one thing here just before we get on a bit more with the meanest link there? And it's something I feel very badly about that it kind of slipped my mind until now. This week, my portion of these prizes, actually, the patches and the pack here of decals, is actually sponsored by one of our viewers tonight there. He picked up some of the patches, and he also wanted to buy a couple sets for me to give away, which are part of the thing. So thanks to Brian J. Everybody throw a big thanks to Brian J. He's one of my moderators there. He bought 2 packs of these things to donate to give out as part of the swag package. So Brian, thanks very much. Good to see that support there, and it's much appreciated. Okay, so back to the
meanest link.
What was the toughest part of that trip? Now, you guys there, again, you encountered all kinds of neat things, more walking up a river and paddling and stuff like that. What was the toughest thing on that whole trip?
Not bringing beer.
Well, you had a couple beers with you.
I would say the alders.
Oh yeah, the alders sucked for sure.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of YouTubers really struggle with that stretch there. Everything from like Mark in the Park and people doing the meanest link here. Basically, is it that choked up? It's that overgrown and choked up that it makes it that difficult, eh?
Pretty choked.
It was fun for like 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Like we were like paddling, like you'd have like a little straightaway where you could get some speed, and we'd try to go into them, and then like the bow person was just like throwing cross draws and draws, and we were just trying to basically like use the momentum we had just built to like slide through, and then we'd crash and it would just, we'd get tangled in there, and then we'd have to like pull ourselves through. But then also, like, you kind of brought it up for the Labrador trip, but there was definitely a moment on that where we were wondering if we were on the right path, because there's kind of like some offshoots of some creeks and stuff, and we definitely had a couple moments where we were wondering whether we were still going, if we were on the right river, the Nipissing River.
Yeah, it was so choked. We're like, there's no way this is the Nipissing River. There's no water.
We must have made a wrong turn, but there was no turns.
And you guys were quite excited when you were going up the Big East there, and you guys had the rain the one night there. You said it hadn't rained in a while, and all of a sudden it rained. And did the rain really make a difference? Did it give you more flow? Did you find any difference?
I don't know.
Hard to say.
No, I think it was good at getting rain because it was extremely hot on that trip too. And I think one of the days it was 43 degrees with the humidex, and we did 23 portages. Mm-hmm. And heat just drains you, man. It just takes it right out of you.
Yeah.
Well, I remember the one scene you guys said you had to pull over and you went for a swim, right? Just to get all refreshed. Yeah, sometimes you got to do that, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you had the opportunity to do the trip again, I know you said you don't like doing trips twice, but if you had to do it again, would you try to crush it out in such a quick pace again, or would you want to maybe stretch it out a bit and enjoy it a bit more? Or does the challenge come in actually being able to crush it in 10 days?
That's a tough question, because there's, I don't know. A lot of the challenge of that trip was crushing it out. Mind you, we did paddle a lot of beautiful sections of the park. Another thing that I would say was a really cool thing for me on that trip was there was a lot of sections that we paddled that I would have probably never done a canoe trip on. Mm-hmm. Like all the lakes around Highway 60, like it was just like, I would probably never plan a canoe trip down to some of those places that are so close to the highway, but it was kind of unique getting to experience it as part of this trip.
Yeah. Being the touristy part of the park there, yeah, you're bound to see a lot of people. And if you're anything like me, you like the remoteness and not seeing people.
Absolutely.
Right. That's kind of what what really makes my boat float on a canoe trip. I just posted the link to everybody in the chat there. If anybody wants to come up on screen and ask Noah and Alex a question, please, by all means, please do. I will see you pop in. I might not pull you up right away, but please stick around down there because I do see you. If you do join the chat or the panel, please just make sure you have your YouTube volume turned down and just go by the volume that's available on StreamYard. So feel free to jump up and ask a question of the boys here. We got a question here from Camper Christina in the chat. And will you be virtually presenting at any of the shows this year?
What's up, Christina?
Hey, Christina. Yeah, we actually haven't booked anything yet, so.
I didn't know there were virtual stuff going on.
Yeah, there's a few shows out there that are trying to run virtually. I know Canoecopia is going to be doing something, and a few of the smaller shows. Is the Toronto Outdoor Show? Are they doing something virtually? I'm not sure.
I think I did see something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has this whole pandemic, has it affected your what you guys planned on doing last summer?
Yes.
Yeah, it did.
Is that because you guys were kind of in a bubble out there out east, right?
Oh, we've been stuck in Nova Scotia this entire time.
Yeah.
We and this is the first year, and I don't know how many years that Alex and I didn't do a trip together because of COVID.
Yeah.
So yeah, and obviously there's much bigger global issues going on than me and Alex not being able to do a trip together.
Mm-hmm.
But that was up there.
Yeah, it was top 5.
Yeah, geez.
Because of that, we both had to do our own thing this summer.
But you were able to get out. I know you did the one where you went up to the ranger cabin and stuff like that. And Alex, you got a couple things done, and then you were doing some of like the smaller rivers up there in Nova Scotia. So it's amazing what you find in your own backyard if you really have to look, right?
Oh, I've been blown away with the whole ocean scene here.
Yeah,
it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Has me jealous.
We drifted off of the Venus Link. So I want to go back to it because I'm contemplating doing it either this summer or next summer myself. But did you intend to do it in 10 days, or what was your initial goal for doing that whole trip?
It was literally just to fit it in the time that we had.
Yeah.
And then I think like in our head, we knew that the fastest time, I think at that time was 7.5 days. And so when we had a constraint, we were like, we had publicized that we were doing 10 days, but in our heads, we were trying to do it as fast as we possibly could. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know if it was the filming that slowed us down, but kudos to the people that had this. And I think Chris Prouse, and her partner just did it not long ago, and I think they might have the fastest time now. Is that correct?
I believe they crushed a record for fastest time without food drops. So honestly,
and they filmed.
Yeah, and they filmed. Yeah,
I take that back. I'm not going to use the filming as an excuse.
They're beasts when it comes to that. That's what you get for being a seasoned triathlete, right? So
definitely
iron person, right? But now you guys did, when you finished the trip, you kind of finished it just like under the hair, and I believe Noah was picked up and driven to the airport. Like it was quite literally bam, 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 done, right?
Yeah.
All about time management, Dennis.
Yeah, making the most of it, right? But you guys didn't seem to be in that big of a rush. Like when you got to Opeongo, to Algonquin Outfitters there, you guys stopped, relaxed, had ice cream, which I would do the same damn thing anyways, right? Up at Brent, you guys stopped in for, a little bit, had to do some negotiating. Did you forget your wallets? Is that what the deal was there?
No. That's actually a funny story, but we didn't bring wallets on the trip.
Yeah.
Where that panned out for us was when we got into Huntsville and we were paddling past Boston Pizza.
Yeah.
That cool one that's like right off the water and they have the docks there.
Yeah.
We called when we were like maybe 10 minutes out paddling up to it and gave them, I happened to have my credit card number memorized. And I said like, charge my card before you make this pizza. Like, I don't know for sure if this is my number, but I'm pretty sure this is it. And she charged it and it worked. And Noah and I rolled in and docked our canoe on their dock, which may have been like the cheapest boat that has ever docked at that dock. And we sat down in like our Crocs and life jackets, and we ate a pizza at Boston Pizza there with a beer before continuing on to the Big East.
Yeah, there again, something I'd probably do too.
Yeah, that was another neat thing about that trip.
Yeah, we got a couple of people in the basin here. We'll get our first person up here to ask a question. Regular here on the show is Darren from Ride Paddle Repeat. How you doing tonight, Darren?
Hey, great. How are you guys?
Good. You got the wrong mode of transportation up there on the wall behind you. You should have a canoe up there.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah.
Good to see you guys again.
Yeah, you as well.
Yeah, thanks. This is a question I asked at the outdoor show in Toronto, and I apologize because I don't recall what you guys said for the answer, but I thought it was cool. Because, like, while you're out there, obviously, you had some, tough situations where you had to boost your morale, and you guys had this, like, I don't know if it was a mantra or a chant or something that you and Chris and Dave and Alex all said about, like, being a Voyager and how they, like, Voyager will do this, and then you kind of repeat it. And a Voyager, like, where's the source from that? Is that like a historical thing you guys picked up from a book, or was there any other kind of mantras or things that you guys used to help boost your morale while you were going through some of those, those difficult situations?
That is a great question. I guess that's a two-part one. I can answer the first one about the Voyager poem, or whatever you want to call it. That was a Dave thing. I don't know where he got it from. And
it's like a Voyager's code or something.
Yeah, but I tried looking this up after, and I couldn't find any references to it. But yeah, so Dave, every time we went over a height of land, he had this scroll that he opened up with his Voyager code, and we would recite it, have a swig of whiskey, high five, and that was kind of a milestone. I think we hit 3 height of lands. As we worked our way across, we reach one of these spots where we do this thing, have some whiskey, and carry on.
Do you remember any of it that you could recite now?
No. The main part is you never sleep with another Voyager's wife. That's the most important principle.
I found it here. It's the Voyager's code at the height of land.
Oh, awesome.
A Voyager rises early and retires late. A Voyager paddles hard in the day and eats heartily at night. When the trip is done, they drink merrily. A Voyager relies on his team to get from A to B, but a Voyager also makes sure that the team can rely on him or her. A Voyager works hard, plays hard, and respects the land. And a Voyager never sleeps with another Voyager's spouse.
Can you put that on one of your T-shirts now, like on the back or something?
Yeah, it might not be an idea.
There you go. And then what was the second part of your question, Darren, about other things that you might have done to boost your morale when things were low?
Yeah, because that's just a really cool and creative way to, like, push forward, right? And also it's like engaging the whole group. So it wasn't just like I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat when I get there. You guys are like, it's a team effort. So I thought that was, like, really strategic. And I just wanted to know if you guys did any other team building strategies,
For sure. No, did you have something else you wanted to say here?
Well, I got one, but you might be thinking about the same thing.
Okay. Well, I would just say that it's interesting that you saw that like as a morale boosting thing. Dave had that as like a surprise for us at the height of land crossings. So like I would say more like for the morale boosting side of things, like it's kind of something Noah and I have always done is like we've always relied on each other. We've always been really like I think this is what makes us such great tripping partners is like when one of us is experiencing a high or a low, the other person's usually good at like whoever's at the higher of the lows is usually good at coming through and like cracking a joke or something that like pulls the other person through that or throws a camera in their face so that now it's being captured and so you kind of have to turn it around a little bit. But I would also say that Noah's come out with a couple smash hits in terms of songs that he's sung, such hits or classics as When Will the Boys Get to the Height of Land? No, I don't know if you want to give him like a piece of that. Like if I can put you on the spot for a live performance or.
Well, I think the OG song that I came up with was in the Temagami trip when we were crossing Temagami.
Yeah.
And it was our first kind of off the beaten path trip. And there was a portage that was more of a bushwhack, and we were dehydrated and we were stuck in the bog and we didn't know where we were. And I looked over at Alex and said, "We're just a couple of dudes looking for adventure." And that became something. Every time we said it, we'd laugh. And then we'd use it to this day. If we're in a shitty circumstance, they were just a couple of dudes looking for adventure. And we just laugh. And then we forget about the fact that it sucks.
Well, the fact that you guys have known each other for so long too, that I'm sure the communication's always there. Any times let's be honest, any times that either one of you just look at each other and go like, "Really, dude?" Like, come on.
I don't know. Like we're pretty good overall. Like there's like the odd time that we've like probably struck the wrong nerve on like a trip or something, but like we're pretty quick to come around.
Cool.
Yeah, I can't think of a specific one where. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Darren. Appreciate you popping on panel here to ask a question.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you guys again.
Later, maybe I'll bring it back up again.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, Darren. So I got a couple of interesting comments here in the chat here. It would be interesting to see how you guys plan your trips, such as a spreadsheet and how the information is organized. A part of the canoe tripping is not talked about often, but importantly for safety and success. You guys ever thought of maybe putting out a video on the steps that you take to plan a trip or the logistics? Something like what you did for Labrador or the Minas Link or Wabakini?
Maybe not until now.
There you go. There's a video idea, right? That's one to fill in the bi-weeklies. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. We do use spreadsheets for like the Labrador trip about tracking everything and trying to stay organized. Definitely a thing.
Who's the more organized of the two of you? Who takes care of most of the details on these trips?
That'd be me.
Yeah.
No.
I was wondering why you had that big smirk on your face when you said that. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't dare take credit for that. Noah is very organized with this stuff.
Cool. Okay, we got another person in the basement. It's kind of going to go hand in hand with a question. So I'm going to put the question up first, and then I'm going to bring in a guest that's in the basement right now, and I'm going to add into the stream. It says, question, how do you get Kevin Callan to give you whiskey and then let you ride away with one of his canoes on the roof of your car? And John Denver. Welcome to the stream, John Denver.
Woo! Hello.
Rocket Mountain High.
How you doing, Kevin?
I'm good. Where the hell is my canoe?
I don't know. Don't you have it?
No.
It's somewhere with the family somewhere.
What? You don't even know where it is?
No, it's at my house.
Okay.
It'll be featured in an upcoming series that we have coming out.
Yeah, right. Okay. Sure, Alex. Yeah. Okay.
That's all right. So what do you got tonight, Kevin? What's going on?
I got a very big question. I posted it, but nobody answered. So it's a good question. Watch the series. Fantastic trip you guys did. Amazing things you guys are doing. Love your channel. Love what you're doing. So Noah, you are a geologist. You basically are the bass player of the band. Okay.
Okay.
You got the beat, but nobody really listens to you. So, so basically, Alex, what, how was it when you were on the trip? Angel, no, it's fine. I'm just talking to the Scavengers. How was it when Noah explained all the rocks and minerals in the area and nobody really paid any attention?
Yeah, definitely. I tried to show some interest in that stuff for sure. But like we kind of have this ongoing thing where like I'll look down on the ground and I see a cool rock and my first instinct is to ask the geologist, right? But more times than not, Noah's just gotten like a little bit of like an automated response now that he says to me, which is, nah, man, it's just quartz. and it's just an offhand response for pretty much any of the rocks that I show up. That like it's really not as cool as like I feel like it is. Like I'll pull up a rock and I'm like, oh man, this looks cool. He's like, no, man, it's quartz.
Yeah, from like an appreciation of like the mineralogy of the rock. Like sometimes you just pull up like a slate or a sandstone.
It's like polish nice though.
That's hilarious. Really?
Actually, Kevin, from this trip, from the Labrador trip, I brought one thing back from the trip, and it was this monster chunk of labradorite.
What? So what is that? So you and
No,
me,
I took it a little bit in the light.
Oh, let's go full screen on this.
So,
Get it wet.
Labradorite is known. I want to say, I don't want to mess this up. Inuit of the rock that holds the northern lights, because
really,
yeah. So when it's polished, you can kind of see some of the shimmering, but it shimmers with a blue, pearly, purple shimmer to it.
Noah, put some water on it.
I don't have any water here though. Anyways, believe me, that it's a beautiful rock, and it's only in specific parts, Labrador being one of the spots that it's in. And when we got to the coast, we started coming upon all this labradorite. So I brought a bunch of chunks home. That, yeah, that's the chunk.
Wow, you know, I want to have sex with you right now, Noah.
Oh, thank you. Don't even get me started.
No,
there goes my monetization.
Sorry, I'm going off tangent, but explain. We're in a pandemic, for the love of God. Explain the moment when you guys got into the big asteroid thing.
The 36 million year old impact crater.
Yeah. Really, that's amazing. Actually, even if I'm not into rocks and minerals, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's so a part of this trip was planned about getting to this impact crater, because when we were first looking at maps of Labrador, we saw this circular lake in Labrador, and you couldn't find much information on it. Turns out there's a lot of information that isn't available online, but in terms of local knowledge, a lot of people go there in the springs and to hunt. But we didn't know this going there. And from a geological perspective, knowing from when an impact crater hits the earth, it creates minerals that you don't see anywhere else on the earth, because this monster piece of rock is coming at the earth's surface at like 15 kilometers a second, and rocks obliterate, and the heat and pressure instantly changes the composition of these rocks, and then you get rocks that are specific to that general area that you don't see in other spots of the world. So that was interesting.
Well, it is interesting. I find it interesting, but your partner Alex is
classic. I bring up rocks, he leaves.
He's going to get a piece of quartz.
Anyway, it was really funny too. I just noticed Christine, my partner, is actually now in the conversation, and I told her I would never talk to you guys tonight because I'm too busy. I'm working on a book right now, and I'm too busy. And obviously, whoop, I just got caught. Oh, there he is, Alex.
What's up?
Could you just explain what Noah just said about the crater?
Yeah. I'm assuming he would have told you guys that it's some of the hottest rocks in the on the face of the earth.
Yeah, and I
created those rocks that, because of the impact crater, it created some of the hottest temperatures, which created the rocks that are found along the outside of the Mistassin Lake crater. I'm assuming that's what you're asking about.
You guys have a solid relationship right there. Like this is amazing. It's almost like you can speak each other words. You might as well be married, for love of God.
Noah, did I get my cue card right?
These guys are texting each other, right?
Yeah, you are.
Right now, right?
Oh, it's hilarious.
The young guys and their technology, right?
Oh, that's funny. Retired outside. Alex is a rock star. Oh my Lord. Amazing trip. Amazing things you guys have done. I'll let someone else pop up. And
but before you do take off, many people in the chat have experienced many times with Kevin being on panel here, the whole story about him being called Uncle Kevin. What can you guys add to the Uncle Kevin story for us that we don't already know? Or you know what, for those that do not know, because not everybody's regulars in the chat tonight, tell us about the Uncle Kevin story.
It's going to piss me off.
Okay, I'm going to put Kevin full screen while you guys tell the story, though.
Nice.
No, I'm only kidding.
That was a particularly special moment, I feel like, when he became our uncle.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, Frank!
We were baptized into the outdoor realm with Uncle Kevin. I think so. It all started when the Wabakimi trip, where we met Kevin on the 150-year canoe circle on Canoe Lake. Is that right?
The 150th birthday of Canada?
No, but like what lake were we on?
Canoe Lake.
Canoe Lake.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
150 for 150.
Yes, 150 for 150. Yeah, and we told you that we were using the Coleman to do the Steel River, and you saw that video, and as the nice uncle that you are, you let us rent your beautiful Novacraft. And when we were on the Wabakimi trip, I don't know how this came up, Alex, maybe you know, we started calling you Uncle Kev, and we must have called you Uncle Kev throughout the entire trip. And then the rest is history.
I think that's a term of endearment, Kevin. Not
no, it's not. It's like at least they didn't call me Grandpa, Kevin. Jesus.
Hey, you know what? I'll have you know, I have an uncle that's 6 months older than I am. That's nothing to do with age, is it, fellas?
No, that's totally how. Like, all my uncles are that much older than me, so I just assumed that you were like a year older than us.
Oh God.
Sorry, Kevin. I didn't mean to stir the pot, but
no, you know
it was going to happen.
It wasn't. It was a fun time when they came over. Like basically, like in my version of it, and I've exaggerated the truth a lot, but I'm telling you the truth. Like you guys were doing amazing stuff, but you were using that really bad canoe, and you did the Still River, and I won't say the brand of the canoe, but it was like you buy it at Canadian Tire, and so you were about to do, a far northern trip, and I did say to you guys, if you do that, you will die. And I go, please, I have a bunch of canoes in my backyard. I have a bit of a problem. And and you did. You actually showed up and said, okay, like which one? And so I let you have. Well, I think it it wasn't a Bob Special. What was it?
No, it's a Prospector.
What was Prospector? Damn, I gave you a Prospector. Son of a.
No. It was the other one, Bob Special.
Oh, you know what? No, it was the Prospector, because when Novacraft first came out with their tough stuff, they gave me one to try out before it all came out with all that. And actually, I probably had give it to them to see what happens. And you had it out, and amazing footage. Like if you guys have not seen their footage of the Wabakimi trip, it's an amazing trip. Nothing compared to the Labrador one, but it was a really, really good trip. So, and you came back, and basically I said, yeah, just keep it like whatever. Because it was a little banged up.
I've since gotten it repaired.
Okay, I'm glad. And the whole thing then you were in my house, and you called me Uncle Kev, and I took a double step. I went, what? And sorry, but I'm aging, and and I got defensive, and I told you to leave my house, and
that was it. We had a gun though, Kevin. Don't forget you had a gun when you said that.
Yeah, well, it's pretty north. So I live in a small town, but my buddy said, "Well, that's a compliment." I went, "No, it's not. No, it's not." And you get into that life where you're like, I'm going to start wearing gold chains and driving a fancy car or whatever. But no. So you have my canoe, but you don't know where it is. I'm feeling good about myself.
No, and in all honesty, though, there is no ill will with that comment whatsoever. It was actually, we had the purest of intentions for that when we said it, and I don't know, we've got a lot of respect for you, and you've helped us a lot over the years, and No, it was actually from the purest place that we could have said that. But
no, I know that, guys. I'm just joking around with you. I got the nicest time I had in my life with you guys is when I met your mothers at the Toronto show.
Okay, that's also our mother's.
Awesome. Oh,
they're probably watching right now too.
What?
They're probably listening right now too.
Okay, well, tell the story about them going on their adventure, because you guys went on your adventure and they went on out west on their own.
Just before we headed out on our trip, they were in Alaska, and they sent us a farewell video, like a have fun on your trip kind of goodbye video before we lost reception, and it was from a log on some lake in Alaska.
Yeah, they were on a 3-week trip up there.
They were so happy in that video. They were so happy. They're happy for you and they're happy for themselves. It was incredible to see that, right? But also to have them come up to me at the Toronto show, and I have all these people around me and say, "Hey, we're the
Northern Scavenger mom.
We're your nephew's mom." God, it just, my day was like, boom! I gotta film them.
Yeah, really funny.
I filmed them, but there's a lot of B-roll. But I asked them a lot about your youth together. It was hilarious. Who was out of the diaper first, Noah or Alex?
Probably Noah.
Okay, that's true. That's what I was given.
Okay, but we got to ask that one question that somebody put up there. Is Mark Matheson's asking, which scavenger is most like Uncle Kevin?
You can never be like me. You be you. You're not as sexy as I am. Look it.
Total package.
Yeah.
It is funny.
Total package.
Are totally different characters, and it's almost like Andy and I on a trip. Him and I are totally different characters, and I think going back to you guys instead of me, it's like when you guys are on trip together, you guys must have some chemistry to get along for that amount of time, and I teach you guys at the Toronto show. I remember watching an old video. I was basically saying, "Who's the bow peller?" And I didn't really mean it in a really negative way, but it seems like you switch. Like you basically, it seems like you guys communicate really well out there. Is that true?
Yeah, I think we know, like, we balance each other out very well, and it's not something we need to communicate, and it's not always the same role. It's kind of, we cycle through, like you said, and we pick up on vibes on how the other person's feeling in terms of, like, on a trip, a lot of things happen where you need to, there's a lot of ups and downs, and Alex said it before, you need to balance out the ups and downs, and if Alex sees I'm struggling, he'll take the lead and try to bring the humor back, or in the vice versa. And I think that's something that is so hard to find in a tripping partner, and we're so lucky to have each other as friends and people that like to do the same thing, because we wouldn't have done and propelled ourselves and the channel and all that if it wasn't for our friendship. And that's the core to all of this. And we've always said it, regardless of what happens with Northern Scavenger, our friendship always comes first. And that's the most important thing to us.
Yeah, and I think it's okay that you guys do a split. I mean, when I watch your YouTube, I'll watch Noah out down east, and then I'll watch Alex. Like, it's not like they split. It's sort of like, well, I get it. I'm just entertained by both, right? So, and it's neat that Noah's exploring his new environment, and Alex, I don't know what the hell you're doing. What the hell are you doing? What's going on in your life?
I'm in the lab right now, currently working on some content. It's coming out. Noah's been holding up the channel for the last little while. I saw our friend John from Lost Lakes just commented on this earlier, and I didn't know if Noah put him up to it, but we do have another series coming out from a trip that I did last summer, and I'm in the lab working on it right now.
So, talking about Jonathan, he changed the whole thing to Lost Lakes, whatever. Are you going to change your name to, like, I kind of know that lake?
Found Lakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think I just watched this video the other day. I love the new logo, and yeah, I'm excited to see. He mentioned some big plans for 2021, and yeah, I'm very excited to see what he has coming at us.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Really good guy.
There's a lot of good content coming out from a lot of good creators, and hopefully sooner than later too. It's every time I watch the YouTube list right now, it's like I keep going through and said, seen it. I'm looking for new stuff to watch, so people got to start posting. Right? People got to start posting.
Yeah.
Jason, how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you, Dennis?
Good. I guess we're going to see a bit of you next week.
Yeah. I figured I better get on here and figure out how this thing works before I do it next week.
Oh, Jason Irwin, everybody from Tumble Home.
Yeah, sorry, guys. Probably don't recognize me because of the beard.
Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Hi, Kevin.
Oh,
Alex,
man, that's amazing. Sorry, Jason. I sort of struck here. Like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, no, it's good to see you guys. Alex and Noah, your trips are so awesome. I wish I could just do half of what you guys have already done at like twice the age of already. I was just wondering if you guys want. I'd love to hear you guys talk a little bit about gear, like what you guys had with you, say on the crossing Labrador trip. What worked, what didn't, batteries, recharging, solar panels, what you were doing.
Great question.
So
Yeah,
Alex is definitely the guy who has to figure it out.
Because you need time here. I'm bailing out.
See you in the green room, Kevin.
All right.
All right.
See you guys. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess like I can definitely answer like the tech. Is it the tech stuff that you're specifically interested in, or just like gear as a whole? Like I would say another big piece of gear that was revolutionary on that trip was the Kokatat dry pants.
Oh.
That was a new piece for us, like just like wearing dry pants every single day. And into dry socks in the morning and popping on some soaking wet shoes every morning. But because they were inside the dry pant, it was like your feet stayed dry until you pretty much sweat enough.
Yeah, like fully sealed, like boot sock right up to
yeah, with little booties on the end there.
Yeah, you guys would have needed it on that trip for sure.
Yeah,
sweat on in that though.
Sorry.
Do you get a good sweat going in those things though? Like, are they fairly breathable?
I think you get more breathable models. Like we have the Kokatat Tempest pants, and I don't think like they're not Gore-Tex or anything, which would be like a more breathable material. But like the price point is like great on them, like $200, and for what we're doing with them, like just basically beating the crap out of them. It kind of makes it a little like I feel like I'd be so sketched out with Gore-Tex pants in some of the stuff that we were doing. So I think that that's like awesome for like the price point. They were pretty nasty by the end, but I mean, you get into the rugged lifestyle out there and it just becomes a part of you. But we were trying to dry them out every night. Like we'd all flip ours inside out and hang them up to like kind of dry or whatever. But
well, that's interesting. I actually wasn't talking about clothing, but I mean, I'm interested in that stuff too. But I meant more along the lines of cameras and just sort of like what you guys use for a main system. I know obviously you had GoPros, but what else you're using, and batteries, where you just did you just bring a shit ton of batteries or like a, recharger pack or both, or,
Yeah, absolutely. So Noah and I both shoot with, we both own Canon 80Ds. So that's like our primary camera for shooting. We didn't have any of the newest GoPros on our last trip, but now we both own GoPro Hero 8s.
Yeah. They're awesome.
I think the last one we probably only had like a 5 or something, like whatever Noah's last one was. So the great thing about that was we actually brought 2 Pelican cases on our trip. And it was kind of to have a backup Canon camera. So we actually brought 2 DSLRs, even though we tried to primarily shoot with just one. We kept them in separate canoes so that if anything happened to one of the canoes, we were like, we had another camera to still go off of. Great thing about both having the same camera, we can share lenses. So Noah had a zoom lens and I had a 16-35 that I brought. We were able to double up on all of our batteries and memory cards, just pool them all together. And then a new purchase for the trip was getting a DJI Mavic Air, which now Noah has as well. So we actually both have the same drones and the same Canon DSLRs.
Cool. Did you just take like a slew of batteries for the drone and just hope for the best and, you know?
So I had 6 batteries. They each last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You can't really launch them once it's below 3 minutes worth of time. So essentially it was like I tried to portion that out in like each battery would be 3 flights kind of thing. And then the last one, if you were anywhere near that like 4 minute or honestly 5 minutes or less mark, I would just fly it until that alarm was going off enough to make me land it, because you were just going to run out. So trying to get as many photos and videos as you could. But we also, I heard you mention the solar panel. So we did bring a Goal Zero. The Sherpa 100 was the bank, and the Nomad 28, I think, is the panels that we brought. And those things are awesome. It's a great little system. I did a ton of research going into the trip and couldn't find anything on if it was compatible with the drone, because based on like I'm no electrician when it comes to like figuring out the amps and everything, but like based on my research, it was not adding up, and it was not powerful enough, or it was not powerful enough for the drone to charge it. But that being said, I had 1 battery, which I labeled battery number 6, which I used on the solar panel. And in my head, I had a strategy to not fly that drone over water, so that if it fell, hopefully I'd be able to recover it.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't trust the charge enough. So, but it all worked out. Like, and I still use battery number 6 to this day, and I still have charged it on the panel. So
yeah, that's good.
Which drone are you using, Alex?
That's the DJI Mavic Air.
Mavic Air, okay.
Yeah.
Not the Mini?
Not the Mini. I think they've got a new one out now, which might be because they had the Spark before, which I think actually Brad Jennings had that one, and it was okay. He's had some like good shots I've seen come out from that. I'm pretty sure that's what he had. But the Air was supposed to be I think the Air came out after, and it was like slightly higher quality. And now I think they've got like the Mavic 2, which would be better probably. And then I don't know if the Mini came out after that, which might have replaced the Spark. I actually just don't know.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new GoPros, I mean, anything from the 7, 8, it's what a game changer it's just made so much of what was kind of unwatchable stuff on YouTube watchable.
Absolutely.
I joke about Jim Baird's videos. It's like post GoPro 7, like it's awesome because he spends more time just bashing around, and sometimes it's just bananas, like how shaky it can be. But man, as soon as he got like a stabilized camera, it was just like, so good.
Yeah, I know, they're awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
I know you got a few tricks up your sleeve too, Jason. We'll probably talk about that next week on the show.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, nothing that other people aren't doing really, but whatever. I've been doing it for a while, so.
Yeah. It's all sharesies, right?
Yeah.
I got a really quick question here I've been wanting to pop up here from Chris Prouse. She's asking, she's a little late to the show, but she wants to know, what's your best behind-the-scenes story that didn't end up on camera? What hit the cutting room floor that you think should have made it?
That's a good question.
Chris is always in there for a good one.
The behind the scenes didn't really happen on this, or like we kind of got it on camera, but like we were talking about that moment in Labrador when we wrapped the canoe, and I told you all the emotions that I was feeling about like I just ruined this trip. And like I would say Dave and Chris were relatively new to the world of us filming on trips, and like I think they're used to like being like remote, like off, not being in front of a camera kind of thing. So I think that was like a new experience for them. And so like when we wrapped that canoe, I definitely had like a moment in my head where like this was a big part of the story, and I wanted to ask Noah to grab the camera to film it, but I didn't dare say those words out loud because like I just like I didn't want to deal with like the aftermath of like someone being like, this is not a time to pull out the camera. Like the trip might be over right now, you know, like, but not really a behind the scenes moment. I'm trying to like, I don't know if you've thought anything else of like,
yeah, I would say more so on our earlier trips, like the first few trips that we did that were a little more adventurous. We weren't really filming that much. It was more so our adventures with our Coleman and a monster cooler in the middle full of beer. And we didn't really know what we're doing. And we still don't, but we've never really had any sort of training in anything. It's all just trial and error. And we started doing these trips wearing tank tops from beer boxes and trunks, just dragging the Coleman around. We used to portage the Coleman, flip the opposite way, and carrying it like a coffin,
like a man.
Yeah, and we carried the Coleman like that over the Diablo portage, and on the Still River.
No, do you remember the name for it?
The Coleman?
No, like when we put it on our shoulders.
No.
Shoulder puppy.
Shoulder puppy.
Who's got the shoulder puppy?
Like, oh, should we shoulder puppy this one? It was like, yeah, we should. Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, and that kind of just, that's our early. We didn't really capture any of that because we weren't really. It was never about filming. It was all about the adventure, and a lot of those earlier trips. It would have been funny to look back and see how we dealt with things then. And for an example, on the French River, that was the first trip we started doing rapids. And now knowing what you're supposed to do in rapids, we just paddled as hard as we could in this Coleman canoe and just try to hit things straight. And yeah, we had a lot of misadventures that pretty much that started us in this whole realm of backcountry canoeing.
Some better not on camera, I'm sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, we had no plans for those rapids. I remember Noah pitching that to me and being like, "Hey, man, do you want to try to hit these rapids? Like, I saw something online, like green is good, white is bad. Like, we got to aim for the green parts, I think."
Hey, Jason.
Yes.
Check the private chat I just sent you on the left or on the right hand side of your screener, just so you could read that.
Oh yeah. Drop me down for sure.
Yeah.
Something else I would say is Joe Robinette just reached out not long ago asking about information on the Bisco route, and I was embarrassed that he had watched that video because it was like it was like the 3-minute music video of Bisco that is not anywhere near like what we would film like now. It was just like hey, let's pick a popular song and put like some clips to it and make a music video for it.
Some shaky GoPro clips.
Yeah, he was there. He was there too. So we've all been there.
No. Like, we had a good laugh about it.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Bisco Tasting, one of my favorite little almost non-existent towns. Eh?
Yeah, so cool.
Yes, I've started many a trip out of there off the Bud train.
Yeah.
That's cool stuff. Okay, there, Jason, I'm going to drop you into the basement there. We got 2 more people in the basement below.
Thanks.
Talk to you in a bit there, Jason, and we'll see you next week on the show. Looking forward to it. Next, we've got a couple more people here. Just want to bring up. Been on the show quite a few times in the last couple of weeks. Dee, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you, Dennis?
Good. Thanks for popping up tonight.
Oh, absolutely. I enjoyed it a lot, and nice to see Noah and Alex there. It's great to see you guys and hear everything you're talking about your trips. Really enjoyable.
Thanks, sir.
Oh, absolutely. And I actually had a question for you guys, and I might have wrote this in a comment on one of the episodes on your Labrador trip. Was have you guys thought about writing a book, like not so much a guidebook, but more like if you kept a journal on all of your trips, of putting together a book of the two of you of your memories and that of different trips, throwing some photos in here and there. I mean. We've got all this video tech and all this stuff, but sometimes an old-fashioned book with photos is better than video. Have you ever thought about that?
I would say that we have not.
Oh, there's some stuff going on.
Go ahead. I think Donald's got feedback.
Okay. So I don't think we've thought about that to date. I'm feeling pretty overwhelmed just trying to keep up with video content right now, and that has been like our number one platform. Like we just heard from Kevin, who just jumped on not long ago. Like he's down in the book world right now and writing books, and it's like a lot of work no matter what medium you decide to go down. And so I think that for us, we've always focused on video. We haven't really thought about a book. Honestly, kind of cool that you would ask us that. I would have maybe never thought that we would be qualified to write a book. So,
oh, I would think so. And we're none of us. We might not all be authors and stuff. I mean, like Kevin, Kevin's a great writer. I like reading what he writes. And because he writes about the trips and guidebooks, which is really cool. But guys like yourselves, or like Brad and Wayne Jennings, John from Lost Lakes, those guys, I watch all you guys and stuff, and you could write, I think more like because I keep a journal of all the trips since I started taking my son canoe tripping, and like every once in a while I'll go back and start reading through from years ago, and it's just cool to read through it and look at photos and stuff, and that it's just kind of being old school coming out, I guess, so. But it might be something you might want to think about later on, and maybe just keeping track of your journeys and stuff, and maybe just putting something out, memories of canoe trips, something like that. That might be kind of neat.
Yeah. On that, I'm reading Frank Wolf's newest book, Lance on the Map, and I'm with you on the fact sometimes it's nicer to read than it is to watch. And a book like him Frank Wolf is probably one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to these trips, because he's like the OG of crazy trips, and it's been really hard to find information on his trips. So when he came out with this book, this is a total game changer on getting into the mind of Frank Wolf. And I think we have a long way to go before I would feel comfortable saying that we should probably write a book.
Yeah, Derek Spesh just put something up there pretty interesting there. You could always write articles for Paddling Magazine or Explore Magazine or something like that, right? Doesn't have to be a full-fledged book. Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you had a desire to, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's awesome. I am getting a little bit of backfeed, something going on here with the internet. We got another one going on at the same time. So I'm going to cut out. It's nice to see you guys. Look forward to seeing some more of your trips put out.
Absolutely.
All right, you guys take care. We'll see you.
Thanks again, Donald. Appreciate you coming up. Welcome to my world with bad internet. Holy cow.
Yeah, I know it. It's on both sides of the border. So
yeah.
You guys take care.
Thanks very much.
Take care.
We got one final person down here in the basement, and that would be
Oh, hello guys. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me on, Dennis. You're frozen now, but I'll talk. This is actually my first time on the show. Just found out about it from your guys' story on Instagram, so thanks for posting that. I'll actually just mention, you guys, I know you're talking about books, and a trip guide or kind of a journal from the trip would be really interesting. I'm actually reading this one by P.G. Downs, The Sleeping Island. I don't know if you could see it. I think might be written in the 1950s or something like that, but it's just, he was looking up old portage routes from the Hudson Bay Company, and so he tried to redo them and then write his own kind of articles on it, or his own trip notes. So I'm going through that. So something if you guys put together would be really interesting. Yeah, so there's that. And then also just wanted to say I'm also from Etobicoke, so it's kind of funny. And I'm recently moved out to Nova Scotia. I've been here for I'm finishing up my quarantine in a couple of days. So I'm very recently out here. Yeah. So kind of funny that we can draw parallels between that. Yeah. I was just wondering though, I'm really looking to get into the kind of the more of the rapids canoeing. I'm pretty new to it, so I haven't had any trips on that, but I'm just wondering if you guys got any tips or any kind of locations to check out.
Do more research than green is good, white is bad, like we started with. Well, you're out in Nova Scotia now, so maybe I'll let Noah take this. But like, I know in Ontario, like what really got me like hooked on like learning more about the instruction side of things was taking a course with the Paddler Co-op on the Madawaska River up in Palmer Rapids, and yeah, they've got some excellent instructors up there, and Noah and I have both done that now as well, and that was a lot of fun, kind of like actually learning like in like a safe environment, I guess, like where you get to flip lots and there's people there to like help you out and stuff. And there's definitely lots to learn. But like out east, Noah, maybe I don't know if you've got any tips on that.
Yeah. So doing a course will save you. One course is the same as 2 to 3 seasons of just trying to figure it out yourself. And in Nova Scotia, the boys over in Bangs Falls, they have the Bangs Falls Festival, and it's every spring out on the Medway River. A bunch of kayakers and canoeists go down, and we run a bunch of sets. And it's a great place to practice your canoeing. And it's a very open environment. It's similar to the one Alex was talking about. And join this Facebook group, NS Whitewater, for Nova Scotia Whitewater. It's on Facebook. It's a great resource, and everything Whitewater, Nova Scotia is on that Facebook group.
There you go.
That's awesome. Just trying to write it all down. You said Bangs Falls Festival?
Bangs Falls something. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not that good with words sometimes.
No. I'll find it on the. You said the Medway River.
Yeah, but if you join the Nova Scotia Whitewater group, all the details are in there. It's the canoe scene in Nova Scotia is so tiny compared to Ontario. Everyone knows each other, and that's kind of the vibe in Nova Scotia as well. There's just a handful of people.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I'm fortunate that I can kind of switch my time between 2 places, well, Ontario and here. So kind of got the best of both worlds. Now, would you guys say you took the course first and then got into the rapids, or kind of started playing on the rapids and then realized you needed a course?
We centered on rapids for like 5 years before considering a course.
All right. It's good to know. Maybe I'll give that a shot.
Which we wouldn't recommend.
Okay. Yeah, of course you can learn a lot quickly, so I feel like that's a good way to go about it.
They're there for a reason, and like honestly, like you get it's a lot nicer. It can be super intimidating going into rapids, and there's a lot of just some key safety things that are so simple, and just kind of going through those a basic course it makes a big difference.
It's awesome. Thank you for the advice.
Thanks for joining the panel there. Sorry, guys. There again, Kapalooza. My internet keeps cutting in and out.
No worries.
You guys are making great co-hosts tonight to keep the conversation going. All righty. I think that's probably about it for tonight, boys. We're at that 9 o'clock hour. Ben, did you have any other questions before we call it an end?
No more questions, but I don't know if you cut out when you heard this, but when I first joined, my first time on the show, so thank you for hosting this. And I didn't know this was around, but I'll definitely be tuning in every Tuesday. So thank you.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. It's it's a fun evening there. We got a lot of regulars in the show, and it's just a good opportunity for us all to vent and share stories and get to learn from each other. So I appreciate you popping in tonight.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cool. Alrighty, I got one comment up on the in the chat here that I would like to put up on screen for you because this might mean something to you guys. I'm not sure. Keith Corkum says, "What's the most memorable moment from your Labrador trip from your grade 9 geography teacher?"
Hey, Keith.
Can I call you Keith, or do I have to say Mr. Corkum still?
Awkward moment, eh?
Most memorable moment from our Labrador trip. No, what would you say yours is?
Memorable in a sick way was my dysentery.
Yeah, that was a painful memory for you, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like every day we're blown away by it. I guess the entire concept of doing that trip and pulling it off. I think pulling it off was the biggest thing. Was, hey, can we do this? Is it possible? And then just doing it, you know. And I feel like a lot of times we put caps on what we can do in life, and what we just based on I don't know, just like what we know, and we don't really push ourselves, and just having that curiosity to do something that you don't feel like you could possibly do, because going from the meanest link to Labrador, there's a huge jump there, and it doesn't really make sense. But it's more so if you want something bad enough, and you do enough research and make the time to make it work, you can do a lot of things that you don't think you could do.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, that's awesome. You know what, guys? We didn't even touch half the things I really wanted to talk about tonight with the Wabakimi trip and stuff like that. And we're a bit all over the place, but you know what? That's the way this show kind of goes. Is sometimes it takes a direction of its own. Just want to thank you both for actually tuning in tonight and joining us and sharing your stories and your adventures and your knowledge. Greatly appreciated.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for having us, Dennis. I know it's been a long time coming now, and I'm glad we were finally able to make it work. It was great coming on, and I think we had a great conversation tonight.
Yeah, you know what? Things happen in their own due time, and that's the way I believe all this stuff goes. And like I say, I'm glad it finally happened. And you guys are welcome to join in any night. You're always welcome back. Don't leave after the show here. I'm going to keep you in the green room. We'll have a little chat afterwards, if that's cool with you guys, if you're not on a time restraint. Just want to thank everybody that come up, asked questions tonight. You did a great job. It's been awesome. Everybody in the chat, all your regulars and anybody that might be new, like Ben, thanks very much for tuning in tonight. If it's your first time or your 100th, well, it wouldn't be your 100th. This is only our 53rd episode. Anyways, or your 53rd time. Brian J., one of my moderators, thanks again for your donation of purchasing a couple of swag prizes to give away tonight. Much appreciated. The support is awesome from all of my followers. If you haven't already checked out the Northern Scavenger YouTube channel or their website, the links to their social media and stuff is in the description below this video, and you can check that out at any time as this will be posted right after the show is completed. So feel free to check that out. Make sure you subscribe to their channel. Their channel is getting bigger and bigger by the day, and for good reason. So make sure you check that out. Everybody, please stay safe and healthy. Don't forget to tune in next week. We have Jason Irwin on from Tumble Home, the YouTube channel, and we're going to have another fun evening there. So be sure to tune in next week. We'll see you all then. Have a great night. Stay safe.